I've had to get a cup of coffee for this one because it's a meaty one, but a very important one. An Ernie Ball mug, no less, because I am an Ernie Ball artist. Ridiculously, how amazing is that? The things I'm going to cover in this video may be obvious to some of you who perhaps play another instrument, perhaps piano or any other instrument other than guitar. But if you only play guitar, the things we cover in this video may just change your perception of how you see everything to do with music, melody, and scales forever. It's a pretty big claim, but what we're going to cover here is the formula for the major scale. The major scale is not a shape on the fretboard. It is not something that gets written in tab. It is a formula governed by the distance between all the notes, aka the intervals between the notes, which any other scale, melody, harmony, or chords are all referred back to. When we have a C add 9, for example, that's the 9th degree of a major scale that's added to a C chord, as we've covered a little bit so far in this program. So strap in, because I'm about to transform your playing, especially if you only play guitar. Take a big swig of that coffee, you're going to need it, and let's do this. The major scale formula is best shown on one string, and it starts off with what we call a whole step, which is 2 frets or a whole tone. So from E to the 2nd fret, F sharp, for example. It then goes another whole step, and then a half step, which is 1 fret. And that takes us through the first 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the major scale. 3 more whole steps, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then half step. And that takes us through all 8 notes, octave to octave, E to the octave of that E of the major scale on one string using the major scale formula, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Now that might seem like a lot to remember, but if you've ever seen one of these before, it might not be that much to remember, because let's take a look at this. On the black keys, we have a series of 2 black keys and then 3. 2 and 3, 2 and 3. And this makes, for example, playing the C note, which is here, and then here, and then here, really easy, because at any octave, the C looks the same. You just have to find that pattern of 2, 3, 2, 3, and the bottom one of the 2, C, C, C. I can even play it upside down, and as a total beginner, you could even do that on piano. We can learn to do the same thing on guitar, but a guitar is not laid out exactly the same per octave until we get past the 12th fret. So in my opinion, to be able to visualize the guitar neck as easy as a piano can be visualized, we need to look at the major scale formula and also look at some key points to remember on the guitar neck. Let me show you how powerful this is by starting on string 2, which is the B string, and by hitting all those same frets, fret 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 12, all the same ones as we did on string 6, we can hit all of those on the B string and play the B major scale, because we've kept the formula the same. We've kept the distance between all the notes the same, those intervals the same. Whole step, half, whole, half. 2 whole steps separated by a half, then 3 whole steps, half. 2 and 3, just like a piano keyboard, 2 black notes, 3 black notes. That's all you need to remember. It is literally the 2-3 method for learning the guitar neck. Now let's move on to part 2, how this relates to root notes of chords. Basically, if we start off on the thickest E string and play that E major scale, we can turn every one of these notes, as we've covered briefly so far in my intermediate course, into a major chord, minor, major, major, and we get all the chords in the key of E major. That all comes from this major scale formula. In fact, you don't even have to know what the name of these chords are, as long as you remember that chord number 1 is major, minor for the whole step, minor, and then half a step becomes major, major, and then finally minor. The seventh one would be diminished. We tend not to play that. We'd do some sort of extra chord, as we've covered in a few of my tutorials. But that's how we can turn that major scale on one string into all the chords that happen in a certain key. The key of E is where to start with this if that is something that's totally new to you. But if it isn't, let's envisage something. Let's say we've got a song in the key of F sharp that we really want to learn. Or maybe we want to write a song that's in the key of F sharp major. But I'm thinking, how can I possibly know all the diatonic chords in the key of F major? Let's use that same major scale formula. Let's start from that second fret, that F sharp note, and then we count that as the 1, or the key of the song, and we go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And then with diatonic chord harmony, the 1 is major, the next one is a whole step and it's minor, whole step, minor, major, major, minor. And that gives us all the main chords in the key of F sharp using that major scale formula on one string. That is something to spend a few minutes now practicing if that is totally new to you. Try it out for yourself. Try it in the key of E, try it in the key of F sharp major. Try and play all those different chords that I've just demoed there. There'll be more help in the description below, but we're going to move on to part 3, how to do this with lead lines and melodies. If we stay in the key of E major, we've covered how to do that E major scale on one string, on string 6, and it to be root notes for the chords in our song. But we can also do that on string 1, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, and we can use this to play major scale melodies over any song that would be in the key of E major. Great examples of this happening in real solos are, for example, High and Dry by Radiohead, and also Favourite by Fontaine's DC, to give a more modern example, inspired by all the greats. Mostly goes just on one string, just going through the major scale notes. And also swapping to the B string, but following that same formula. So for example, for the E string, we can go on one string like this, or swap string, but keep that formula the same. For example, here's the E note, the same note as the open string, E, and we can use that same formula from here. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. And we can even do that from this E here, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, half step. So that was using the octave of the E note at the second fret of string 4. We've gone from fret 5 of string 2 and the open string. And in practice for lead lines, when you see your favourite guitarist just improvising freely in a certain key or using a certain scale, they're using a combination of these two methods for lead lines. They're using one scale shape, you know. But if they want to move out of that one box, they're often not going to the second box. They just go along one string, using the major scale formula for wherever they happen to be at the time. Second fret, so that's the octave, so that's an E note, that's the 1. So we go whole step, half step, whole step. And then, oh, here I am in kind of major pentatonic shape 5. Like there's the same as shape 1 minor pentatonic, the one everyone knows. And I can step back then to the one I know there, and then I can jump to this E note, And they lead to very instinctive and melodic lead lines, as I say, doing this kind of thing. It's a very instinctive way to sound very melodic. The obvious place to start is the key of E major, because you have two options basically, one for rhythm, one for lead, and then other jumping off points of the other octaves of E, wherever you know that they happen to be. All of those you can use that major scale formula from. There'll be more help with how to do that below, with some helpful diagrams and some little clips of this video to help bring it to life. But there is no substitute to start improvising and start writing songs and playing freely than just jumping in and having a go. This is the ideal point to start doing that. You can get more help in the Discord community and on the regular live streams that we do every week to ask questions about this, because I know they will come up. Everyone's always got different experience that they come to a video such as this with. But I really hope to see you in those supportive materials that we offer in the Andy Guitar membership. Ask your questions, give it a go, and have fun with it, and try and make music. Rather than just recreating the songs you like, start creating.